Beverly Zeimet Show. Discovering you. Rewiring the brain. Rebuilding confidence. And harmonizing with nature. With over 4 decades of changing lives, your self-discovery archaeologist, get ready to be the best of you with your host, Beverly Zeimet.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Beverly Zeimet Show, where being the best you has just gotten easier. Well, I tell you, we are into our second year. Patti, can you believe this? You were there early on last year with me.
Wow, time has gone so fast, Beverly. I can't believe it. Really, with all the stuff that we've had going on, changing things with our own lives and businesses, it's crazy how fast everything's changed and continues to cycle.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, just like, where does the time disappear, right? It's just like
Exactly.
poof. And I mean, here we are. We're in the last month of the first quarter of 2021. It's
I
like,
know, really. It's like, where did it go?
yeah, I tell you, with this show, and interesting enough, is like you started your show because you liked what was going on, with my show. And it's like, wow, and so that is kind of like I am so grateful, to be able to have that inspiration for people because there's been several, I think probably at least a half a dozen or 10 people that have started their own shows just from having the interview here. And it's like, wow, never in my wildest dreams did I ever thought, this show would go the way it did. It took on a life of its own, opened so many doors. I have met so many wonderful people like yourself. And to watch you grow, because when you grow, everyone grows, right? And
Ex- Exactly, Beverly. And what I have to say for that is I am very thankful for having met you and then learning from you how to, because you're the one that showed me with your course on how to do my show. But with that, because what I do as the goal achievement strategist is I help people to achieve their dreams and goals, go from where they are to where they want to be. And what are we all doing right now with the changes that we've had with the global pandemic, having to make our switches and pivots and everything that we've had to do for our businesses.
right.
So what I do with my clients on a regular daily basis, whether it's one-on-one, in group, or whatever, now with the show that I was able to create, going through the Rise Above show, I help people in both aspects. My viewers and listeners are able to rise above their challenges they may be having because they listen to the guests that I have that share their stories of struggles they may have had in their personal or professional lives and how they've made it through. And many of them now have products or services to service the people that are on their journeys. So it's a win, that's a win-win. And for me, that's a way for me to serve people on different levels.
Exactly. Exactly, and that's kind of what these shows are all about. You can call them you can just call them an internet show. You can call it a TV show. You can call it a podcast. You can call it I think they call it a vlog now. There's so many different
Yeah.
names, right? And with video being like the number one thing out there, with Facebook Lives, YouTube Lives, Vimeo Lives, you name it, right? It's crazy. So Patti, tell us a little bit about, share with the audience, as how your life changed, through this pandemic. Because when we met, it was like early, it's probably like close to this time last year when we met, and how you took your business from where it was. Then we have a pandemic lockdown where everything just goes, right? And
Right.
and how did you reframe and shift what you were doing and where your business has now gone from what it was to where it is today? Can you share a little bit on what those steps are? So can you share a little bit with the audience what those steps are that you went through to reach from where your business was at this time last year to where it is today? Because it is not even remotely close, right?
Right. Beverly, the thing is, when you had all full intention of being able to go and grow by speaking on stages all across the US, and doing that to grow your audience, and then that shut down, you don't have that capability. That's why I had reached out to you about, what are you doing? How do you do the show to get my face and my voice out there? Because that's a way to get exposure. And of course, we know exposure gives revenue, but in my case, I'm not just trying to get the revenue. For me, it's a service thing. I want to try to help as many people reach their full potential or achieve their dreams and goals as I possibly can. So for me, it was that change and that pivot, but it's the technological things that are have been my nemesis. But what I have said, and I always say, never give up. Okay.
Right.
When I teach and work with my clients, it's all about, you know, putting down on paper and creating your plan. And then you have to know and synchronize and prioritize. Okay. So prioritization comes first and then synchronize. So then, what is it that you have to do? Your ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, you absolutely have to do, you got to do, it's got to get done. Delegate. D is delegate and E is eliminate, and looking at those things. And so the delegate piece is where that is, if we are not skilled enough in something that we need to help move us to get forward, we need to know who to reach out to. So it's not just delegation, it's to hire out or find a mentor to help you guide you through that.
Right.
And that's the big piece that I had to take on. That's what I had to do, because again, the technological stuff, and I'm not techie. That's outside my lane. I've had to learn, I've had to take courses and different things to learn how to move myself forward in that. So don't let these things stop you. That's what I would tell everybody is, there is a way. You can find a way to get from where you are to where you want to be. And it may not all be stuff that you can personally do now. Doesn't mean you won't find a way to learn how to do it, or
Exactly.
find somebody else to help you. So it's like, where do all the pieces fit? It's for every single one of us. It's retaking, remaking, and reshaping our futures from that. And that's what happened with the pandemic, I would say, Beverly. That's what it is we've all had to do that. We've had to say, okay, that's what it was. We may not be able to go back to that. So we're going to retake that, the possibilities, and we're going to say, okay, and reshape it, and now remake it.
Right. And that's learning to, that's learning to move with the flow of things, being resourceful, right? Really being resourceful. So thank you for sharing that, because I know a lot of people struggle out there, and you talk about tech. Oh my gosh. That was not my lane, but I have learned different things with technology that never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine. But and again, it's getting over the fear of that. It's like, hey, what do you have to do to get to where you want to go? And you can incorporate and look at tech things when you start looking at that interpersonal development as well. Right?
Right.
Because this avatar that you're walking around in here is a technical piece of equipment. It's electrical, it's magnetic, right? It has all these parts and pieces that move, right? And we do that all unconsciously. But did we know how to do it? Your parts knew how to move and how to do things and how to digest, and your heart pumps blood and all that kind of stuff, right? That's all autopilot. But your thought processes and how you feed what goes into the body is going to make this piece of equipment operate in what you feed it.
Exactly.
Right.
And Beverly, when you said avatar, and that brings me back to when we first met, and working with you, with what you've done for work in the virtual reality world, and the book that you wrote about that. I got involved with that simply because virtual reality with me has helped me to be able to better work with my clients, because everybody's heard of vision boards,
Right.
and you use them in a lot of things having to do with goal achievement. But with the virtual reality and using that to help people, I have created one and teach what I call sensory vision. It helps people to, when they close their eyes and pretend that they're where they have achieved their dream or goal, when they close their eyes, they can feel it, not just physically, but mentally. They emotionally feel that connection to having achieved that dream or goal. What is it going to feel like? What is it going to, what's the air going to smell like? What are things going to taste like, sound like when you are at that spot of achievement? And when you can connect those things to your why and your purpose, it makes you unstoppable. So that's one of the things I would also say that the global pandemic has allowed me to do, is reach out to, and again, be resourceful, and find things that will help you be able to put together those smarter plans to move forward with your business, or what's going on with what you need in your personal life.
That's a key that's very relevant. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
And you mentioned virtual reality. We look at our reality, and oh my gosh, for probably the last 50 years, I've always heard this saying, like, everything here on the planet is an illusion, right? And when you first hear that, you're thinking, hmm, an illusion? Now this is kind of weird. But
Right.
the more you learn about the science of everything and the creation of what matter is, how matter comes into play, and you begin putting that together, the virtual reality world is really not so different than the illusionary world that we're walking around in, and that has really shifted. And I think one of the biggest things for me was that disconnect from the community of people, because I'm a touchy feely kind of person. I want to look you
Exactly.
in the eye type of thing. I want to be present with you. Now, yeah, we're present here in these little boxes, but we're not.
Exactly. You and I have had this conversation before, because anybody that's watching us, with our backgrounds being different, they know that we're having a conversation, and it's like we're in the same room having the conversation, but the focus isn't the same.
Right.
But when you and I, if we're in virtual reality, we are both seeing the same room. We're in the same experience, and we're experiencing life at the same time, at the same moment of what we're seeing.
Right.
So it's beneficial for I believe your subconscious even.
Well, the psychological thing, when you're talking about the mind, and the mental space, again, you're elevated to a different vibration. And when you walk into that virtual reality, so we'll talk a little bit of science here in virtual reality, is that you leave the chaos of the world behind you in your illusionary world here on the planet, right? That chaos is left behind. And now you're stepping into a non-chaotic world, and it's actually a world, and you can make that world whatever you want. There's like 25,000 different worlds on there, so you can go to a lot of places and do a lot of things, right? And have
Right.
fun with it. There's over 7 million people now, and the majority of them came on last year. So what does
Mhm.
that say? People are looking for the
Right.
connect. So when you're,
Right.
yeah, yeah. So when you're there, like you were saying, we get in that virtual reality space. We are now in the same world. We are on the same planet in there.
Right.
Granted, we are in avatar form, but again, we've created our avatars to look like human. I mean, you can create any kind of avatar, but where we went into the educational, into the events, into education, entertainment, that type of thing, right? And business, to reconnect on that level. So when you're sitting
Exactly.
around a campfire, just having a conversation, in your backyard or down by the beach, or if you're just sitting up on the top of a mountain, you're there because your avatar to avatar, the brain says, "Oh, that's my friend there. Oh my God, there she is, and I can talk with her, and it's like, hey, let's go over here, and we went run down into another building, shall we say, and we sit at a bar and we're having a cup of coffee together, or whatever the case may be. It's, hey, you want to go for a swim? Yeah, we jump in our swimsuits and we go to the ocean and we hit the water. So there's so many things that you can do. You can take a walk together, and be there. And your body, your physical avatar here is firing those muscles while you're walking. And the reality of it, here's that word, reality, right? Reality is your perception. And so the perception of what's going on in this reality part has to do with your belief system. And the brain, when you're in virtual reality, says, that's real. That's my truth. And so coming into that perspective, when we look at virtual reality with the chaos of today's world gone, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and Beverly, I have to say, and I'll share with everyone that I had DBI, which is Digital Business International, which is one of Beverly's businesses, build my my husband and I in real life. Also, besides what I do, we have a disc golf course, a frisbee disc golf course, an 18-hole with a pro shop. So we had DBI through DBI, we had our disc golf course built in virtual reality. So we've gamified the game so that
Right.
when things happen, when if we have to shut down our business, our physical disc golf business due to COVID, we can still have people go on and play disc golf in the virtual platform. So, there are things out there. And again, it's thinking outside that box. And Beverly, that's what I said, is it's taking what you got to say, I'm going to do this, own it, and then reshape it and remake it for what is going to work for you now.
Yeah, so true. So true. And it is staying focused on what the outcome is and finding a
Yeah.
way to intertwine and inner work. Nothing is going to go back to the way it was. Are we always going to stay in lockdown? No, things are lightening
No.
up, right? And we are going to be back out where we're going to be. The interaction is going to be there. Virtual reality is not going anywhere. It's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so when you now emerge and just take those two worlds, you take your illusionary world on the planet, and then you take the worlds of virtual reality and you bring them together, because you can reach a distance that you never had before.
Right.
Right.
Now, as much as I say I'm technically challenged, but I also embrace technology,
Right.
because when it's taking and it's merging together. And so it's taking the things that we're familiar with to be able to integrate together with the stuff that we already have been using and feeling comfortable with. The
Mm-hmm.
new stuff's coming in, and it's getting easier and easier to shift that way,
Right.
and sometimes it has to do with how old we are or whatever, but just thinking of that. But going back to why and how I have, and like you had said, with me starting with the show and how that helps me service people in different levels and different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Then I also have coming up, Beverly, I have a summit coming up. It's the Rise Above Summit. And with the summit, I have speakers coming on to work with people in the 8 dimensions of life to help people with challenges in different areas. These speakers may be able to answer questions or provide services for them in areas that they may be right now looking for some guidance in.
Right. And I think everyone has, regardless of pandemic, it's how do you become that better you? And that's what this show is all about, right? And so any little morsel of information, and we learn from others' stories. We learn from their experiences, right? And you're never too old. You mentioned this age thing. You're never too old to
Right.
learn, and it's like, wow. I mean, we're all slam dunked into the technology world in an avenue that
Right.
we never ever expected. So major shifts and changes, so it's like, okay, where do I go? How do I do this? And I just want to touch on one more thing with virtual reality versus our little square boxes, because there's so many new platforms out there, but they all consist of a little square box, right? And
True.
and the psychological thing of that, it you release a lot of stressors when you're in this little square box thing. It's like why do people get overstressed, being locked down at home because you're in a little square box, and we
True.
call it your house, whether it's this room or that room, it doesn't matter, right? So but when you're moving into that virtual reality aspect, it is different, and it's just another level, and it is PC compatible. But I can tell you, it is not as challenging or as scary as it sounds, because for you to click on the link, get in there, start playing around, it's actually much easier than some of these complicated platforms that summits are being taught on and some of these big events that are going through, because you have to go to here and you have to go to there and you have to do this, you have to do that. Where in the virtual reality, DBI does all the heavy lifting for you. All you got to do is just get in, and then we take it from there, and we teach you how to walk your little avatar, which is just basically pushing a couple buttons on your keyboard, and you're there, and everything is just going nice and smooth, right? And then we also, like you were saying, Patti, you said, hey, I want to have my own world in here to be able to invite people into my existence, into my business, into my adventures. And that's the fun thing. But you didn't have to do anything other than say, okay, I want it to look like this, right? So we were your architect, so to speak, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly. I shared what was in my mind, what I envisioned,
mhm.
and your builders built it for me. So
Yeah. So that's the cool thing about it. But when you're working on some of these other platforms, they say, okay, here's what's available. Now you really have to go out and learn it. How do I separate this room? How do I get in what's called a stage room? How do I get this? Oh my gosh, some of it is so complicated. Where when you're in virtual reality, you walk into that space and everybody sits down in a little chair. You have this beautiful stage, so the avatar of the person that's giving the talk is on stage, and it looks like them. Because we can make an avatar look just like you, right? And your audience is all sitting out here in the chair. It is so real to real that it's like, which one's real and which one isn't? So which one's the illusion and which one's not, right? And so, because the brain connects with that, we learn an avatar. That's why gaming industry is a multi-billion. That's why, we teach our children, in storybook creatures and characters, right? We have barns talking, we have trees talking, we have dogs talking, we have, right? So we
Right.
learn it is acceptable. There's TV shows out there, that are avatar shows. The animated movies, that are out there, they're the biggest sellers. So the avatar world is not something that is strange to the human element. It's just a different platform. So don't be afraid of change. Embrace it. And if anyone's interested in knowing more about that virtual reality world, how you can come in, go check Patti's out, reach out to her and say, where is that world? I want to go see it, right? And
Right.
or reach out to me and we'll see what we can do. But let's go back to this Rise summit that you're doing, right? And I like the name, because Rise, it's like you're
It's
the
rise above.
yeah.
Rise.
It's like the phoenix coming out of the ashes, right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
right. And so it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. If you're in a position where you're getting the same thing because you've been doing the same thing, that's the definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing over and over and over, you're going to keep getting the same results over and over and over, right? So rise above that. listen to what these great speakers have to say that Patty's brought together here on how they overcame some of their greatest challenges and made a difference in their life. It's an inspiration. It gives you hope. It gives you a feeling of, wow. It gives you an opportunity to say, if they did it, I can do it. And reach out to those speakers. And that's what it's all about, is that communicating and collaborating and coming together as a unit, as one, because we are all one,
Right. And the clients that I work with, Beverly, one-on-one or with the groups, it is all about, for me, helping people realize that you are worthy and you are
yes,
capable of having more, being more, and doing more. And it just has to be what you want your life to look like. I want people to have as few could have, should have, and would have moments, to in age, and just to talk and have conversations and tell stories of, to your grandchildren, great grandchildren. I want you to be able to say, I did this,
okay,
and that exciting stuff. We don't want to have those could have, should have, and would have. We want to experience life and live life to its fullest.
right,
And I tell people now, I choose, at this point in my life, I choose to live my life purposefully, joyfully, and gratefully. And to me, that's like where, if you draw three little circles and where all those circles meet in the middle, to me, that's bliss. That's a peace, a state of mind that is just so peaceful and calm. I want more people to be able to be in that, experience that, so that's what everything that I have done and continue to do. I create the tools, and the show, the summit. I have a women's retreat coming up that actually you're going to be helping me out with doing some stuff for that. And it's all about making those positive differences, no matter how small or how large they are.
right. And it's not always the big things. It's all
Right.
those little things that turn into that big thing. So take the world of regret and put it behind you,
Right.
and just start doing, because you know what? If you're not living, you're dying,
Dying.
right? And so living life to its fullest is what it's all about. And that keeps you growing and moving forward, and if you can't have fun down here, then why are you here? Right? And so it takes, actually, this is going to probably surprise a lot of people, but it takes more energy to stay in that pain of anger or anxiety or shame, all of those negative words that we call negative words, right? It takes a lot more energy to stay there in that abyss than it does to be happy and joyous and grateful and fun. It sounds crazy, but it's true. And if you don't believe me, try it.
It is true, Beverly. It's all mindsets.
Yeah.
And positive, developing positive habits. We all have habits, some good, some bad, some ugly. It's just to find the ones that we need to make those tweaks and adjustments to help us have that better mindset, so that we can move forward and confidently.
Right. And again, it's recognizing, habits, they become autopilot, right? And you're doing them. That's where that insanity thing comes, right? Because you're doing it, you don't even realize you're doing it. So begin to recognize where that habitual, thing is going on, and just say, hey, wait a minute. Okay, if I change that, then the outcome should change.
Right.
Well,
You tweak this a little bit and it helps this, it's
right.
right.
Yeah, surrender to the circumstance, right? Change the things you can, and the things that are not for your changing, move them out of your story. You've created the story of your life to put you in the position you are right now here today. So
Because
how you Yeah.
Because it is our choices and decisions that define our destiny.
Yes.
And we can change, if you want to get started, you can get started in the next hour or tomorrow, but there's always a new beginning. You can always start over. So
Where
don't
there's
let
an
yourself.
ending, there's a beginning. To have a beginning, you need an ending. So it's kind of that repetition thing. But when you take charge of your life and say, "Wow, I'm going to surrender to that ugly story. I don't need that stuff.
Right.
It's not helping me grow. It's not doing me justice, and it's not doing the people around me any kind of justice," right? And again, you talk about mindset. Now, you mentioned earlier on in the program about vision boards, right?
Yeah.
So when you can move up into that elevation and you now you recognize this habitual thing that's going on, instead of living in that, visualize what it is you want. Make that creation however you want to do it. I mean, we got graphic stuffs all over the place. Make a graphic, stick it on your background, on your computer, print it off, put it on a board, because that's the vision of what you want to create, and that's going to be different from what you're living. And you focus
Exactly.
on that, and it's like, that's where I'm going. I'm surrendering the old stuff, and I'm going to step into the new.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly, Beverly. That's what I teach clients, and that's the sensory vision, and that's how utilizing virtual
Right.
reality has helped me to be able to help other people.
Right. And it can be very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. We as a human think that we have to have something that's complicated and hard, or it's not going to be effective. Oh my gosh. Throw that stuff into the trash, because that is such an old, outdated belief. But it's being committed. It's knowing the science. It's understanding it. It's not complicated. Just like we think sometimes technology is complicated. When you actually step into it, it's not. It's a system. It's a system. So when you learn those step-by-step systems and you follow the system in the order it was designed, poof, the outcome is there every single time. Every time. And that's what both of us work on. We have a system that gets a result. So
Exactly.
if you want to get results, then you follow the system. And that's what we teach you. We don't just say, here's the theory of it. We teach you exactly. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. And
You've got to do the work. That's the thing. You have to do that work.
You have to apply it. Yeah, you have to apply it.
Because once you do, you will get the results.
Exactly. So, wow. So if you want systems, reach out to either one of us, and we will definitely put you in a different format, down a different track. So, Patti, if people want to get a hold of you and they want to watch this summit, they want to get involved, what do they need to do? Where do they need to go? How do they get in touch with you for all of this stuff? So let the audience know where they can reach you and get in touch, to watch your summit, or I don't know if you still have space in it, but how do they reach you so that they can get your system, if that's what they're choosing or looking to do, or if they want to know a little bit more about everything that makes you tick? Where do they find you?
Okay, Beverly, thank you. They can go to patriciajogrover.com. That's my website. And if you go to www.pjg.vcardinfo.com, all of my social media links are there. The link to become a guest on my show is on there. And my email is right on there too, as well as on my website. So you can email me with any questions that you have or anything like that. Can I give your viewers and listeners some gifts, Beverly?
Sure. Everybody likes a gift.
There we go. Well, if you text the word goal, GOAL, to 26786, you'll have gifts come right to your inbox. And, if you want to become a speaker on the summit, again, send me the stuff. But if you need guidance or feel like you want any specific information about speakers I may have, reach out to me. And, it's all about getting you from where you are to where you want to be.
There's the magic. go from where you are to where you want to be. So, Patti, thank you so much for coming on the show again. And we appreciate everything that you're doing. And the world is a better place having you in it. And so now it's time to say what? Go out there, be that best you that you can be.
You can be.
Because what?
Oh,
Patti
you,
and
Beverly.
I are going to be the best we that we can be. So it's an honor having you here.
And it was a blessing being with you again, Beverly. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.